welcome to CNT Collectibles. I am T.
I am C.
And today we're going to do This Week in Baseball cards.
Absolutely. We'll take a technical look at the price action of baseball cards because, as always, the fundamentals will tell you what should be happening, but the prices will tell you what is happening. So we'll see if we can make sense of this crazy baseball market and see if we can pick out some values.
Yep. And our, the first player we're going to be starting with is Mike Trout.
As always, Mike Trout, this is the PSA 10, and he's been traveling in a pretty well-defined long-term uptrend. We've been looking at this every week here, but when he had kind of his breakout move over the past few months, we said, wait, because we think it's going to come back to a certain level, and you're moving this thing around a ton here, so it does show up on the screen. Last week we referenced this breakout, kind of a similar pattern, hit the top of the range, and it had a breakout, and then it came back to retest this line here, and what we saw again was top of the range, but it didn't come back down to retest the bottom of the range here. But this time it did, had its breakout, and said, you know what, we would look to come back and test this line again, and there we are. I would say if you're looking for a Mike Trout card, your patience has been rewarded. You saved yourself a few shekels, and you really need to start thinking hard about buying, if that's what you're looking to do. Now, PSA 10 is expensive. So there's a PSA 9 option. I like PSA 9s. Similar uptrend, but this one has held on to its highs. So it's come off a little bit here, but PSA 9s, Chromes, those have been outperforming lately as base cards have gotten really kind of out of control here. So PSA 10 into Mike Trout will cost you about $4,600. PSA 9 will cost you just under $2,000. So the PSA 9 is actually a little bit expensive relative to the 10. Unless the 10 fires up to about $6,000, the PSA 9 is a little bit expensive. However, there's room for this thing to, if it stays above this line, we're good. If it comes back into this area here, then again, I'm going to buy a couple. But right in this area, if it can drop back down to a $1,500, $1,600 area, that'd be a pretty fair price for that one. So the 10 is looking more attractive right now, and the 9 I think is getting pretty close. Again, unless that 10 shoots up to $6,000, then the 9 is fairly valued. But I'm not sure it's going to do that right away.
I'm not sure that's going to do it right away either.
No one's sure.
It could take a little while, and it could cap in like 3 seconds.
Exactly. No one knows for sure. One sale could shoot it up there, but I think the 10 has pulled back far enough. I think the 9 is going to pull back maybe a little bit further, but they should be firmly on your radar if you haven't done anything with it yet. Luis Robert kind of boring me here. He's got a sideways range here. Your bottom is $100. Your upside is $155. It's got close to the top there, and it is coming back down. So it's crazy season now. So if he hits a home run in spring training that goes 470 feet, then this thing goes to $200. So, but as of now, you're near the top of the range and probably don't do much with Luis Robert. All right, Mookie Betts.
Next one is Mookie Betts.
Yeah, another one here. So
kind of like Mike Trout, except he's kind of like Mike Trout, except he hasn't been playing as long, and he just needs to keep it up a little bit more.
Yeah, he might be a better bowler as well. So
a bowler?
Yeah, he's a really good bowler. He likes it as well, and he's really good at it. So, again, you had your consolidation back in the day here, breakout, retest. So same thing here, consolidation, breakout, retest. So we'll see if his prices fire up. I imagine that they probably do. Such a highly regarded player, top 2 in the league at a minimum, and he's consolidating nicely. There's a lot of buying picking up at these highs here, so I don't see anything that shoots it way down. But even if it goes down, there's probably more upside than there is downside at this point. And shout out to Card Ladder for putting in these price lines here, so you don't have to kind of guess what the price is. They have the price, and the line that goes across this grid is a new feature, I believe. We didn't have it last week at least, so whatever. Mookie Betts. So did we do another one here?
Yeah, that's
PSA 9. Yeah, so the PSA 9 has actually been an outperformer. So this week is all about outperformers. Chromes or 9s of the Virgin card. So while the PSA 10 has kind of broken out and just hovered around this area, the 9 continues to put in some new highs here. So the PSA 10 is $928, which isn't wildly different than where it was last week. But the PSA 9... Did I say the 10 at first? 10, $925 to $930. The 9 is $335. Just a couple weeks ago, this was a $235 card. And we said, that was a fair price for that. Was actually undervalued and probably a better value. Now this would kind of be more equivalent to a $1,000 PSA 10. So the 9's racing ahead just a little bit here. So again, we're going to see one of two things. These 9s pull back just a little bit, or those 10s go back up to where they were a few weeks ago. So we'll see how that plays out. I don't know. Okay.
The next player is Eloy Jimenez. Kind of
Yeah.
like Luis Robert. He's another good one on the White Sox.
Yeah.
And he's also in here.
Absolutely. So we've been watching his cards, and the base card, is kind of in the same similar sideways pattern, and it's kind of struggling in here, although it got a nice bump this week. But if you look at the chrome, this is the chrome, it has broken out to new highs, and it wants to race to this upper boundary here. So very clean uptrend. But it is clearly outperforming the paper version of that card. So the paper version is around $70 or $80, and it's not a price, but this is making new highs, and the paper isn't, is really what it comes down to. $125 for the chrome. So I think Eloy Jimenez it still represents a really, really good value, especially in the paper. I think that has got some catching up to do, but there's some interesting parallels as well out there that are going for, I think, far too cheap. And I've picked up a few things I'm happy to share. But I think you'll have another really, really good season, and his prices should reflect that. So again, he's just breaking out to new highs here. So yeah. All right.
Next player is Ronald Acuna.
Yeah. So this is his update chrome. So again, his paper version is kind of stuck in a downtrend. We've looked at that one, and it's up, at the upper end of that range here. So got up to about 250, but it dropped back down to like that that 200 area, and I think it goes back to the 180, 190 area. But the chrome continues to make some new highs here, so it's traveling north, and it's right around its highs. So the paper version is stuck kind of in this area. If you plotted the graph, in similar terms here, while you had the big spike, and then these highs, and it kind of matched those highs, and they came off just a little bit. Whereas the chrome version is broken out to all-time highs, and is kind of making its way back up to the top of that range as well. So the update version will cost you about $155. If you look at the base chrome, this one's about $260, as this one is also right around new high. So you can see those chrome versions really starting to outperform the paper versions. Wasn't always the case, because the paper versions were thought to be harder to get in gem mint condition, and now people just want shiny, and I don't blame them.
Well, Ronald Acuna is a hard one to get if he has a couple more good seasons.
Oh gosh, yeah. He's so young that there's so much potential. That with him, it's just stay healthy and do what you're doing. He's on an excellent track. He doesn't have to, because he got started so young. Can he just be like a 4-win player for the next 10, 12 years? And just be a compiler, which, I mean, chances are he's a 6, 7, 8-win player for a few of those years as well. So he's got a very, very strong path to the Hall of Fame. But it is early, and there's a lot of risk in those guys here. So he's being priced as a guy that's well on the way, where he's pretty young. But when you're young and you perform, then you get a little benefit of the doubt here.
The next one is Juan Soto, another one of those amazing rookies in that same year.
Yeah. The 2018, this is the chrome version of the update. And so while you have his paper version kind of breaking out to new highs, got up to about $380, and it came back down to that $310 area. So it came back. The chrome version has continued to put up new highs. So it continues, again, traveling, and long-term trend is up. There's no question about it. But while the paper's pulled back a little bit, the chrome version continues to put up new highs, and that's sitting around $510. So again, those chrome versions are really starting to...
and also, like Acuna, he just has to have a couple more seasons that are good until like a lot of people probably are going to buy big spikes.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of similarities between. They came in at the same time. They're a similar age. I think Acuna's a year older or something like that. But they came at the same time, same release, obviously, baseball cards, and their performance, they're within a winnable replacement of each other. So people will associate them for a long time. So
if they have a good season, they might go up a big spike, and they might have buyers.
Good person to be compared to, huh? So.
And here's another one in the
National League.
National League.
There you go.
NL.
Slam Diego.
I was thinking of NFC.
He's gotten off to a good start in spring training here. Disregard those stats, but again, when his paper version broke out to new highs, it came back in.
He's on an insane team this year.
Oh, absolutely. They identified needed pitching, and they quickly addressed that one. So. When his paper version got back to these previous highs, it did spike up on the contract news, but it quickly gave that back and came back into this area where the chrome is held up. It's just retesting this line here, and if it comes back in, then okay, so be it comes back into this area. But otherwise, if it can hold here, and there's been enough buying to support it, and has a good year, then this thing could start to curl up again. So again, here's the chrome outperforming the paper. $450 for a chrome 10. Again, I mean, I think most chrome cards that you pull are going to be are going to be, really, really good condition. So people just, I don't know, they're just going for the shine, I guess, on it. But again, the paper was always kind of the dominant one, and now it's chrome. So, all right, we did first baseman this week. Top 5 first baseman for the year. So let's just check in a little bit and see how their cards are doing. So,
and here's Cody Bellinger. We're going to check in on him.
Yeah, absolutely. So we had a big breakout, and what happens when we have these big, huge moves? We say,
don't buy.
We say, wait, it'll come back to a certain reference point, and usually some sort of, or don't buy. Well, I would say that's not don't buy, it's wait to buy. Let those prices come back in. And it usually comes back into some sort of reference point where there's been a lot of buying before, so rated here or this price spike high. So in this case, this would be close enough right in this area here. So, but now it's starting to travel up a little bit. We looked at them a few weeks ago, and I think this is the chrome as well. Maybe it isn't. But we had this high point here, and he's starting to travel upwards. But then he came back down. So we've got this little channel, and it's up. But right here's where you buy. It's that's been a good spot in the past few times here, and up here's where you sell. And so that's a decent range actually. So his current price is $207, and it got up to over, what is that, 200. 240 or something like that. So decent pullback, no question about 20%. But right here's your short term, buy it, and then when you get up to here, sell it short term. But if you're looking for a Bellinger card, yeah, and here's probably a pretty good spot because he should have a reasonably good season. And he wasn't horrible last year.
I mean, He wasn't.
No, he wasn't.
2 years ago, he was insane.
Absolutely, it wasn't insane, but it wasn't horrible. So for him, he was off a little bit.
And here's Jose Abreu.
Yeah, your
MVP. And here is just like one large hill and one tiny hill.
Ooh. Yeah,
not too much sales though.
Yeah, I did a series, guys on Hall of Fame trajectory last fall, and he was on the list, but he started when he was 27. His Cuba stats aren't going to count. And his prices were up here, and I said, that doesn't make a lot of sense, $40 or $50 for a guy that's not a Hall of Fame track. And it came back down even a little bit below that. There's not a lot of buying here, but people are pushing his prices back up again, and this isn't a card that I personally wouldn't, I would personally chase at this point, at this level. I wouldn't pay those prices for it. 34-year-old who probably can't repeat what he did last year, and again, not a Hall of Fame track. So, but people are pushing it up, and I think you can see that $100, $120 level if he is able to come close to what he did last year. Again, probably not repeatable, but he's been a really, really good player for a long time. No reason for that to change, but everything to go right like it did last year, I don't know. So I'd probably lay off of Jose Abreu, and again, I'd wait for something at $40, $50 area, and you may be waiting a while for it, but it'll get there again. So that's kind of what happens when these guys lose relevance.
Pete Alonso.
The polar bear.
He was a number 1, I think, on our first baseman.
5.
5.
Yeah, close. I mean, you're only a couple away. So,
Cody Bellinger is 1.
His last year was his last season was perceived to be horrible, and it started off brutal. There's no question about it. But the last month was pretty incredible. And at the end of the year, his numbers were really in line with what he did in 2019. Some BABIP-related problems, but everything else was.
There's no way he can beat 2019.
Sure, absolutely.
I mean, there is a way, but that's rarely not going to happen.
It was a really good season. It'd be tough to repeat that. So he started off in his career.
Because almost everybody had a good season in 2019.
Oh, it was amazing. Yeah, it was a nice juiced ball year, and we'll see what happens when they change that. They change the ball up again this year, so we'll see how that kind of plays out. But yeah, he started out on a high note, and it's probably all downhill. But it doesn't mean he can't be 45 home run guy, right in that area. And I think he can be on. He was on that pace last year, so why not keep it going here? So those guys typically don't age well, so we'll see how he is able to change that thing going forward. But he's got a few more years of hitting the ball well. Like I said, he wasn't bad last year. So anyways, came back down to a pretty cheap level. And if you're able to get in here, good. And I think it pointed these out on either when we bought it, we said something in a mail day, or I did one of these chart things and said, hey, interesting spot for Pete Alonso. He's been traveling up pretty nicely here, so you've got some spikes in there, so ignore those and just buy where there's been a pretty decent cluster. Good cluster here, it moved up, good cluster, and so right in this area, so he went quickly to the top of the range and quickly back down to the range. So if you're able to get in at that $40-$45 area, that's probably a reasonable price for Pete Alonso. But the trend is up. Now if it breaks this, then it comes back down to this area here, but right now more upside than downside, perhaps.
Yep.
So that's how it is until it isn't.
Next one is Vladdy Guerrero on another team that's actually getting pretty good players.
Oh, they've got a lot of good players, no question about it. And this is another case of the Chrome Wild, and the no number one was supposedly a short print, and I don't think the Chrome is nearly short printed to that same extent. But this is wildly outperforming the no number. So you had the all time highs for the paper, and it kind of hung around this area here, and it's doing just fine. I mean, it's right around its all time highs here, but this thing is just wild. It's just going crazy here. So. Yeah, again, the papers were always a little bit more difficult to gem, but I don't think people care. They just want the chrome in a 10. It's like, okay, have at it, I suppose. So, traveling north here and top of the range, and I would have said, take some off the table here, and I would have been wrong because here you are above that. So as long as it holds up here, you're good. If it can't hold that, then it's coming back into here, and at some point we got to retest this area here. But if he has a good season, a lot of people are expecting that, then this thing is, that's a crazy price, I think, for this. I still wouldn't do anything with it, but I'll continue to be wrong. Although we've got a few crumbs here, so nothing graded, but I know. But yeah, it's a strong move for Vladdy and his Chrome, and Freddie Freeman, another one of that was our top 2 first basemen this year. So all right, what do you see here, Tom? The move up to the top, came back down to this area with his decent buying. He was just no hobby love for this guy. And he came back up to the top again. So. Where people bought here, said, I got my money back, they want out, and now you drop down, and now you're kind of in this area here where you probably see, again, not a lot of buying, but probably see some buying here, and we can see you move back up if you're looking for Freddie Freeman. Right in this area is where you want to go, and here you are.
People that were lucky, that bought at like 150 area.
Yeah.
They could have had a good time to sell like right after that at like that big 300 mark. Or you could wait a little bit after that and go to the other $300 mark.
Yeah. So prices tend to return to levels, whether it be high or whether it be low. And so you return to this one. So it's going to build up a little energy. See some more buying here before it's going to push above. But definite nice Hall of Fame trajectory with some excellent hardware acquired last season. And his price could probably handle that. His card could probably handle that price if you compare it to other players on that similar track. I mean, look at players that are a couple years in. Their stuff's going for $350. Like, he's got a shorter print run, and he's well on the way here with the hardware, and he's been doing it for a decade plus. So it's like, all right, I'll take Freddie Freeman. I think in that case, especially at this price here. Michael Jordan, PSA 8. You had your breakout. You had this big move here. We said, is it in a bubble? Did the bubble just pop? And yeah, did. So traveling north-south still, but this is an area that we kind of targeted for a lot of buying, and we're starting to see that now here. So
and he is the best basketball player ever.
You're correct. I've taught you well.
Look at how high that was going. It started at $4,000, so it looks like. And the highest it got up to was like...
It was almost $30,000. So the high price was
$26,000.
Yeah, okay.
Lowest price was only like $3,000.
Right. Well, and this is the whole card. So this is the thing when people start. I love the videos where like, I've got a 100% return. It's like, yeah, everything has 100% return for the most part. Never confuse brains for a bull market. All right, it's just a lot of things are doing well here. So if you don't have 100% return over the past couple of years on your stuff, you're doing something wrong here in this market here. So prices continue to trend south. So, but again, a lot of buying stepping up here. So I think if you're looking for this card, this is kind of your area, and when it pops above, then you go up to this.
The average price is about like $8,000.
Yeah. So this is our target, maybe a little bit lower. It is drifting lower, but again, with all this buying stepping up here, I think you're starting to put in a bit of a floor. So could go a little bit lower, but
it's probably one of the most expensive cards ever. Or maybe it is.
No. Well, I'm going to show you. We're going to talk about a guy that's got one of the most expensive cards ever. We'll finish up with him here. So
Michael Jordan's one of those.
You would think, yeah, right. Rafi Devers revisiting his previous high. What would you do here, Tom? We've got a high here, and he's matched that. What do we do?
But I would rather buy down there.
Well, yeah, but that's gone now.
Sell it up there.
Exactly. So would you sell at this previous level then?
Probably.
Probably makes some sense. I'm going to hold on to my Rafi Devers. This is a pretty clean uptrend here, and even if he comes back a little bit, I am very happy with Rafi Devers. I think he'll have a good season, and he's still like 23 years old. He's been around forever, just raking. So trending upwards nicely here, and I would just hang on within this trend, and if you don't have some Rafi Devers, get more Rafi Devers. All right, and we'll wrap it up here. All right, Luka Doncic. I know, right? He's been around for a couple of years now. His card, he had a card.
Who's
it was
that?
He's a basketball player. All right, so
is he good?
He must be. Yes, he is. So he just had a 1/1 RPA relic patch auto sell for like over. He did his very best Honus Wagner impression, and his card sold for like $4.5 million. So, yeah, pretty crazy stuff. So this is not that card. This is his base Prism. It has not gone up as much as the 1 of 1 here, but he had a big spike here, and you wait for it to come back into an area. There's a ton of buying in this area here. Everyone bought right in here, and it came back up to this area here. And
even you couldn't buy that.
What, the $4.5 million?
Yeah.
I could not.
Jeff Bezos would be like, oh, that's
he just like
low price.
You'd have to go like, let me just go check my other pants pocket, right? So, all right, top of the range coming off here. Now you're at this point where there's been a lot of buying here. There's a lot of buying here. And I think if you're looking for this particular card in a high grade, this is an excellent opportunity. Below this, and you can start looking at $1,000, and if the market really crashes, then that area down here. But
and Mr. Beast was like that. Mr. Beast could buy that easily.
He could, and then he'd probably like blow it up with fireworks or something. So give it to a homeless guy. So a lot of buying in here, not a lot up here. A lot of people accumulating on the way down, and I think right in here is a pretty darn interesting spot if you're looking for that card. So all right, we've taken up the good people's time enough today. What do you think?
I think so.
All right. Hey, appreciate everyone watching. Have a great rest of the day.
Bye.
Bye.